Well, good morning, everyone. I've got things you should know this week. Good morning. First of all, could I get a big hi from everybody for Drew and Sue Ermeline, who are following along at home? So everybody give them a big hey. Hey. Sue had a fall at home, and she's fractured her right pelvis, and she just had her hip done. So she is pretty uncomfortable. No surgery is needed. They're going to let it heal. She can't put any weight on it right now. The neighbors are being great. They've got them all set up, so they don't need any help, but cards would be really nice. So they wanted to make sure we all knew they were going to be following along at home today. I've got one more week with you all before I go on vacation. I'll actually still be here for 2 more weeks after that, not preaching, but finishing up some things. Next week, we didn't do it this week because I wasn't sure I wasn't going to have to cancel my being here. But next week, we are going to do a little bit with Memorial Day. So if you have pictures that you would like to bring of family members who died in the service or who were service people who have since passed, I will have a table set up next Sunday for that. So please bring those in. And I think that's all I've got.
Well, good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Venice, or as we like to call it, UCOV. Welcome, all of you. Newcomers, long-timers, and those returning from time away. Welcome if you are full of faith or full of doubt. If you come with questions or with quiet conviction. Welcome if you are joyful, grieving, weary, hopeful, or simply curious. Here in the Unitarian Universalist community, you are not asked to leave parts of yourself at the door. Bring your whole self, your beliefs, your background, your story. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your gender, your age, your abilities, your race, your identity, you are welcome here. If anyone is here for the first time and is brave enough to hold your hand up, we'd love to hear your name and maybe where you're from.
Hello, anybody know?
We have any first-timers, second-timers, yes, visitors, just all.
I'm Diana Britton, and I live in Venice, and I've been here a couple of times, but it's been a while since I've been here. I'm Marilyn, and I'm a lapsed UU.
Well, we're so glad you chose to join us today. Is anybody leaving for the Northlands this week that would like to say goodbye?
I'm leaving for the month of June. Road trip starts at the end of this week. Me and my dog.
Anybody else heading north? The wonderful, I think the Massachusetts bus left a few weeks ago. They're certainly getting some weather. Okay, we're now entering the sacred space, so please check your cell phones, make sure they're silenced so we don't have any interruptions. For our chalice lighting, we light this chalice as a beacon of welcome, a symbol of the open door and the open heart.
Friends, I don't know about you, but if you've ever shoved a pile of laundry into a closet 5 minutes before company came over, this service is for you. If you've ever lit a candle to cover the smell of whatever that is that used to be in the fridge, if you've ever said just ignore the mess and meant it with your whole heart, then welcome. You're among kindred spirits. Today we're talking about hospitality. Not the Pinterest perfect kind, not the my couch has matching throw pillows and my floors are clean enough to eat off of kind, but the kind that says open the door anyway. The kind that says you are more important than my dirty dishes. The kind that makes space for other people. Because even when life looks a little messy, and so do we, that space is important. Because here's the holy truth. Hospitality isn't about showing off, it's about showing up. And sometimes the most sacred table is the one that still has the crumbs and the peanut butter and jelly on it. So let's take a deep breath together today, and we're going to let go of perfection as well as we can, and explore what it means to practice a hospitality that's real and vulnerable and spiritual, and maybe just a little bit miraculous. So come and let us worship here together. Please rise as you are willing and able, and join me in our first hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. We're going to do verses 1 through 3. To have a spotlight today. Jean, are you going to do our spotlight today? All right, I asked Miss Jean to come on up here.
Thank you so much, Reverend Amy. It's my honor to be here and talk to you about and introduce to you the newest service group here at UCOV, and that is the Sunday Hospitality Team. So if you know what that means, it means that we have everything ready for you in that end of the world. Sunday mornings, I'm usually here by 8:45, sometimes 9 o'clock. But let me just introduce to you all those people that are on that team. Okay, first of all, Eileen, where are you? Eileen is amazing. She's there almost every Sunday morning. Will you remain standing? That would be great. Paula Hartley. Paula, are you here? Yes, she is. Okay, and we have a new person, a new member, Becky Gagnon. Are you here, Becky? Great, good. Nice to have you here, too. Christine Weeclaw. Christine, are you here today? She may not be. We miss you, Christine. Also, Mary Lou McCarthy has gone on the Massachusetts train up. And then, of course, we have two guys. We have Jack Head and Stephen Leapley. So we're just really glad to have our team together to do all the things that we do that we hope will make a wonderful... Thank you. and even more wonderful and special service for you on Sunday mornings. There are 5 things we do, and the first of all, what we do is this. The morning bulletin is part of our responsibility, and that is something that, well, we all enjoy having, and you have it every Sunday of the year. It doesn't matter season or not season. Okay, and refreshments. Boy, that's a big one, and that's one that we are grateful for you for bringing everything that you might bring to help us with that, homemade goodies or not. And we also want to thank Cindy Bauman, who also gives us gluten-free stuff every Sunday. So that's another thing that's fun. Flowers on the pulpit, that's another thing we try to arrange, just like this beautiful one, this beautiful orchid that Jack has given us this morning. We have candles. We try to keep the candle tray full of candles that work. And lastly is birthday celebrations. I started this a few months ago, and I think people like it. Our next one is next Sunday because it's the first Sunday of every month. But you know what? We don't have any June birthdays so far, except myself and Richard Palmer. Anyone else here born in June? Yes, yay! Please be sure I have your name so that we can honor you next Sunday. That would be great. Were you the only one? Was there someone else? Wonderful. Okay, great. Thank you. We'll be honoring you while you're traveling north with your doggie. Exactly. Well, that's it. So thank you very much. It's an honor to share these little tasks with you each Sunday. Thanks a lot.
This is the time in the service when we do our offering, and we always do it with a joke because giving should never ever hurt. A Catholic priest and a Unitarian Universalist minister were in a car crash, and it was pretty bad. They hit each other almost head on. Both of their cars are totaled, but neither one of them was hurt. And after they crawl out of their vehicles, the UU minister says, "Wow, you're a priest. That's interesting. I'm a UU minister. Look at our cars. There's nothing left, but we're unhurt. It must be a sign from God that we should have met and be friends and live together in peace." And the priest says, "Yeah, I guess I agree. It's a miracle. We survived and we're here together." And the UU starts rummaging in his destroyed car and says, "Hey, here's another miracle. I've got this expensive bottle of wine that I was taking to a friend's, and it didn't break. Surely God wants us to drink the wine and celebrate our good fortune." And he hands the bottle to the Roman Catholic priest. The priest nods in agreement and opens the wine. He says, "I'm so thirsty." Takes a big drink, drinks almost half the bottle, and hands it back to the UU minister. The UU minister smiles and puts the lid back on. "Aren't you going to have any?" says the priest. "Oh, not now," says the minister. "I think I'm going to wait till after the police come and make the accident report." Given that I have no one to blackmail for anything this week, the morning offering will now be given and gratefully received. Oh, thank you all so much, not just for these gifts, but for everything you do for your community. Because it's as a community of human hands and human hearts that we come together here every week to witness and bear witness and to minister to one another as we celebrate life's joys and struggle with life's sorrows. If you have a joy or a sorrow to share, please raise a hand and Marcia or Jean will bring you a microphone. And I would like to share first, I'm lighting a candle today for my partner Nancy. Hi Nancy, if you're watching. She has been in the hospital since Monday. Is feeling pretty cruddy this morning. She had surgery yesterday. She's not up to visitors, but well wishes and prayers are greatly appreciated.
My name's Tina. I want to celebrate Bruce Springsteen and the courage of that guy, so well spoken.
I'd like to light a candle for my brother who called us Monday morning. Small? I'd like to light a candle for my brother who called us Monday and told us he bought a plane ticket to fly down Tuesday. And I hadn't seen him in over 5 years. So it was an interesting visit. I'd like to light a candle for him to be a strong person and reach out to people he loves, because he's a very lonely man. So we were happy to see him, and he flew home yesterday, and I hope the angels can take care of him.
Thank you so much.
Hi. I just want to let everybody know that Richard is out of the hospital and he's in the rehab center at the Village on the Isle. And we're just hoping he gets a lot of physical therapy and so he can come home and get up out of a chair.
I've also got a lovely joy. I finally got a surgery date. I'm getting my right knee replaced on July 10th. So everybody, yay! Finally. May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern, and may the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May we never look away when we're needed. May the grieving be comforted and the tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. And may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
Our first reading is titled The Guest House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. For our meditation, I read the following. Please relax, take a deep breath, let the breath in and let it go. Feel your body settle and your spirit soften. Now imagine your door, not the polished, presentable one of your imagination, but the real door, the one with scuff marks at the bottom. Maybe a squeaky hinge, maybe a bit of wear. Now imagine someone standing there, someone needing connection, not perfection, not a performance, just presence. You open the door, maybe the sink is full, maybe the floor isn't swept, maybe you feel a little tired, a little frayed, but you say, come in. There's room for you here. That moment, imperfect, ordinary, is holy. Holding these words in mind, please join me for 1 minute of silent thought, meditation, or prayer. Our next reading is titled, What an Old Farmer Teaches Us About True Hospitality. He's an old farmer who lives up the road from us, If you drove from our farm to his, you'd pass by the country church where we worship together on Sunday mornings. There are a lot of things I love about Helmer. A while back, I drove the familiar road between our two houses, past the church and the harvest fields to visit Helmer. Like I often do, I brought my notebook and a pen. I left an hour later than I'd planned, but felt surprisingly unrushed. I felt a warmness, a lightheartedness, an awareness of my breathing, the way one feels after a particularly satisfying, winsome day. Later, I thought about what these hours with Helmer taught me about the nuances of hospitality. First, I learned hospitality is insistent, a pursuit. In some translations, Romans chapter 12, verse 13, has a palpable zeal. Pursue hospitality. This hospitality is actually quite aggressive. The Greek is saying to chase hospitality, to run hard after it. The Greek, to actually trouble people about it. I can almost imagine Helmer's photo on the pages of a Greek dictionary with a plate of Oreos in his hand. Second, hospitality requires a guest. Sometimes the most hospitable thing we can do is to stay. We say yes to the table set before us. Hospitality is a relationship between a host and a guest. Surely every good thing in life can be improved by sharing it with another soul. And if we don't acquiesce from time to time, we disallow the gift being offered by another soul. Third, hospitality is about human dignity. At the heart of hospitality is the simple act of opening a space, of making room. It is a quiet acknowledgement of the automatic sacredness of another human being's life. It's the easy dignity of sharing a table. It doesn't require matching napkins or 3 courses. It doesn't require Pinterest help. Sometimes it's only this: one old farmer who sets out a cup and lets you know you matter because you exist and you can't help but stay a while. I think I would have enjoyed a visit to Helmer. Our next hymn is number 1007 in the Teal hymnal. There's a river flowing in my soul. Please rise, or body or spirit. There's a river flowing in my soul.
When I finished my first undergrad degree, which was in English, I taught at an English language immersion school in Cincinnati, Ohio. And they taught Venezuelan and Japanese business people English. Now, most of those folks were involved in either manufacturing or the automotive industry, and many were eventually going to work in the Deep South. And those who were going to be working in the Deep South were sent for a week or so to visit in the areas where they were going to be living and working before they came north for a year of immersion schooling. So they met future co-workers and support staff, and they toured apartments, and they were invited to visit people's homes. And so when they arrived in Cincinnati, all of them, Japanese, Venezuelan, they had one question. What did jeet mean? And why did Americans ask about broken plates? And they assured all of the teaching staff that it wasn't in the books, and their corporate escorts didn't know what they were talking about. They had assumed it was a greeting from context. These are very smart people. And every home they went to said the same thing, no matter when they showed up. Hi, welcome, Jeet. Can I fix your plate? And they were absolutely hysterical with laughter when we understood what the problem was and explained to them that yes, indeed, Americans could compress "did you eat" into "jeet." And when we asked to fix you a plate in the South, we meant, would you like us to prepare you a plate of food? And they found that absolutely hysterical. You know, hospitality is part of the cornerstone of civilization, but it absolutely can be confusing out of cultural context. And many of us learn about hospitality from the time we're really little, but it's usually as a continuation of manners. This is what you are expected to do. It can put too much emphasis on getting it right, because there's a right answer and a wrong answer, or getting it perfect. So imagine this, there's a knock on the door and your house is a wreck. There's laundry draped on the couch and dishes piled up like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. The grandkids' toys are scattered across the floor like a minefield. And you're in sweatpants, maybe with your hair in a bun, maybe with your shirt totally destroyed from a long day. The voice in your head says, "Oh my God, you can't have anyone in here. This is not hospitality, this is chaos, no." But then that spirit of life in the back of your head whispers, let them in anyway. Because hospitality doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, maybe it's not meant to be. Sometimes hospitality is just, hi, Jeet. So today we're going to talk about hospitality not as entertainment, and not, as our reading said, as Pinterest-ready perfection, not as something reserved for the polished and the prepared, but as a spiritual practice, a holy act that has very little to nothing to do with spotless floors and matching plates, and everything to do with open hearts and generous presence. In both the Jewish and the Christian Testaments, hospitality is not optional. It's a commandment, a sacred duty. It's an expression of righteousness, generosity, justice, and faithfulness. Now, historically, this is accurate. In the ancient world, hospitality was life and death. In a desert culture where survival depended on the mercy of strangers at times, it was assumed that travelers, and especially strangers, had to be cared for. You could be the stranger the next time. Even enemies could find sanctuary in the home of a host, and under your roof, any human being was safe. This was sacred law. It wasn't about feeding them fancy things or how clean your home was. It was about presence. It was about saying, you're welcome and you matter and you're safe here. And today we get hospitality confused with entertainment. Entertainment is not bad, don't get me wrong. I love gussying my house up and putting out my matching pillows and my nice china. But that's entertainment, which may or may not have hospitality blended with it. It's curated and performed and presented. That's entertainment. We imagine that only people with the right home, the right kitchen, the right schedule can offer this kind of entertainment hospitality. But if hospitality is a spiritual act, then that means it's available to all of us. Imperfect, exhausted, busy, overwhelmed as we may be. Because at its core, hospitality is not about controlling the story, curating the image. It's about surrender. It's not about appearance, it's about love. I don't often use Bible stories. Not something I prefer to do, but there was one that I had to grab for today from the book of Luke. It's the story of Mary and Martha. So the Rabbi Jesus had become very, very popular. A lot of people were listening to what he had to say. And he visits the home of these two sisters, Mary and Martha, and they are as different as night and day. Martha's out in the kitchen. She's busy preparing and cleaning and serving and doing all the things. For any of you who've ever made dinner for about 12 people, those are the things she's doing. And while Martha is doing all the things, Mary is sitting at Jesus' feet, literally. He's on a little stool and she's sitting there with everybody else. And she's listening to the stories he's telling. And Martha's had enough. She sticks her head in and says, Jesus, can you ask her to give me a hand here in the kitchen? And Jesus says, Martha, you're distracted. There is a need of only one thing here. He wasn't condemning the work she was doing. He loved her and he loved the value that she brought to life, but he was inviting her into a different understanding of what it meant to welcome. It's okay if you don't have all the things to give us. What's more important is all of us being together in this moment, talking together, sharing together. We'll deal with the kitchen in a minute. Martha was practicing hospitality as performance. Mary was practicing hospitality as presence. Martha was being a good hostess. Mary was being hospitable. Hospitality at its deepest isn't about doing everything right. It's about being present with somebody. Your messy house, your undone dishes, your worn out self, they are not obstacles. They may be the very invitation that welcomes someone in, because when we invite someone into our real life, not our curated life, but our real life, unfiltered and unvarnished, we invite them into a space where authenticity lives. And authenticity is holy. The food isn't ready, the floor isn't swept, it doesn't matter. Come join me in the kitchen. We'll do it together. And we'll talk, and maybe we'll laugh a little. Kitchen food is always the best, isn't it? Where you're sitting there with your good friends, talking, making a mess, getting things together. Have you ever walked into somebody's house and they've apologized like 5 times for the mess? Maybe you've done it yourself. Don't mind the toys. We've had a week. I've got the grandkids. Sorry for the sink. It's been a long day. But what if instead of an apology, the mess was a sermon? What if it said to that guest, I trust you enough to love me, even though you can see what I'm really like. I trust you. Because hospitality is about connection, and the greatest gift that we can give another person sometimes is not our tidiness, but our truth. Think about the people who have made you feel the most at home in your life. Were they perfect? Maybe not. But they were real. They invited you to sit down in the middle of the chaos, share something honest. They let you into their story. They let you bring your own story to them. That is messy hospitality. And it's the kind of welcome we want to bring to the world. Christians talk about this from time to time in the stories about Jesus. Jesus spent a lot of time at tables. He ate with tax collectors and sinners and Pharisees and fishermen. He reclined at meals with the clean and the unclean. He turned water into wine just to keep a party going. But nowhere in any kind of scripture, not Jewish, not Christian, does it say that anyone's table was perfectly matched and curated. What it describes is radical inclusion, open tables, surprising guests, sacred conversation. The table was a place of transformation because it was a place of welcome. Jesus didn't wait for people to have it all together before he invited them in. Now, we live in a world today that tells us we have to control and curate everything about our image. Social media and television, it shows us spotless homes unless you're watching Hoarders. It shows us elegant dinner parties and styled lives. But behind the scenes, we're often exhausted and lonely, tired. We crave connection, but it's frightening to invite people into our realness. Spiritual hospitality resists this. It says, come in anyway. I don't have it all together, but I got space for you. You may have to move a few things. When we open our homes and our hearts in their imperfect state, we create a sacred space for grace to move in. Our UU roots come out of early churches that tried to do this. Day by day, they spent as much time together in the temple as they could. They broke bread at home and ate their food with glad and generous hearts, not perfect hearts. Not perfect, glad and generous. Messy hospitality is about sharing what you have, not what you wish you had. It's about offering time and attention and presence, not performance. You know, those ancient times and those rules of hospitality, they went way beyond politeness. They were laws of protection. You took responsibility. You said, just for this moment, you are mine. And as such, I will protect you. I will hold you dear. I will keep you safe in this moment. It's not a forever commitment. This is reflected today in Middle Eastern traditions. The guest, once inside, is under protection, and to violate that is to violate your own household. That's the spiritual depth of hospitality. Someone is seen and honored and protected physically, spiritually, and emotionally. With us, they find a refuge. Not just from the weather, but from loneliness and anxiety and judgment. They can put down the burden of pretending. They can be an old friend, or maybe just a slightly worried Japanese businessman who doesn't speak the language yet. When we offer messy hospitality, we create that sanctuary of grace. Now, it takes courage. It takes guts to invite people into imperfection. But that vulnerability is a gift, and when someone sees the mess and stays, that's friendship. When someone brings their own mess and is still met with love and kindness, that's healing. When we stop pretending we've got it all together, we give others permission to do the same, and in that shared moment, the spirit of life and love and greater humanity lives and moves. One of the most powerful spiritual practices we can embrace is to say yes. Yes to the knock at the door even when we're not ready. Yes to a text that says, "Can I come by?" Yes to awkward and beautiful and sacred moments of connection that happen when we make room for one another as we are. So how do we do it? How do we do it in a world that celebrates polish? Leave the door open, literally, figuratively. Make it known that people are welcome. Keep it simple. It doesn't have to be elaborate. A pot of soup, a cup of tea, plate of toast, cold water on a hot day. These things carry sacred power. If you send an invitation to dine, that's entertainment, and that's marvelous. Hospitality just asks, "Jeet, can I make you a plate?" Be interruptible. The spirit of life moves in the moments we didn't plan. Practice presence. Put down your phone, listen deeply, set your book aside for a minute, make eye contact. Be with the person in front of you. Be real, don't apologize for the mess, welcome people in. Pray or think good thoughts for your guests. Before they come and after they leave, let hospitality be woven with intercession as you practice it. You don't have to pray to any God, just a moment of thinking of the good points of that person and how glad you were that they were there. Offer what you have and nothing more. Time, conversation, laughter, silence. Don't let what you don't have keep you from giving what you do have. In the end, hospitality isn't about the condition of your house, it's about the condition of your heart. It's not about the dishes in the sink, it's about the seat you make at your table. Because the world doesn't need more perfect hosts, lovely as they may be. It needs more open doors and warm welcomes and people that say, "Come in, I'm glad you're here." Our congregations welcome us when we're still messy and broken and imperfect and needy. Let's follow them in that. Let us be the people of messy hospitality, offering presence, not perfection, peace, not polish, not entertainment, but embodiment of the living spirit of life. Because when we break bread together in our imperfect homes with imperfect lives, we reflect the perfect love of that united web of life that meets us right where we are and says, "Hi, I'm so glad you're here. Jeet?" Amen. We blow out this chalice, but not the flame, which asks us to sit with the lonely and talk with the forgotten. Please rise in body or spirit for our final hymn today, number 1024 in the Teal hymnal, our upbeat "When the Spirit Says Do."
When the Spirit says do, you got to do
Go now with open hearts and open hands. May your door be wide enough for the weary and your table long enough for the lonely and your welcome deep enough for the broken. May you offer presence over perfection, connection over performance, and love over image. Peace, ashe, and may it be so.